Welcome to another episode of the brand called You, a video and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Today, it is my privilege to welcome a very accomplished lady from Mumbai, Bhavna Isar, to our show. Bhavna, welcome to the show.
Thank you
Bhavna,
so much
thank you.
for having me here.
Thank you, Bhavna. Bhavna is the founder of Sambhavna, which is a consulting organization in organizational development and HR. She is the founder of Caregiver Sathi, which is an organization to support caregivers to terminally ill patients. And in her previous avatar, she has worked for companies like Castrol and Texas Instruments. So, Bhavna, what would you say are three key milestones in your life or career?
As I stand today,
Mhm.
I believe key milestones for me, the three big ones that impact me on a daily basis today are the fact that I chose to pursue my purpose.
Mhm.
And in that, I decided to leave a corporate career and explore everything that I wanted to be.
Okay.
So I think that was definitely a big milestone.
Okay.
I look at it very fondly because it helped me build myself to where I am today.
Okay.
The second one is the fact that I pursued my, which was earlier not even a hobby,
Mhm.
it was just a casual thing, but has become a passion today, which is motorcycle riding.
Mhm.
And I decided to actually go for an expedition with six other women,
Wow.
the highest motorable road, and we got featured in the Limca Book of Records as the first ever group of women to do something like this. I think that was definitely
That,
my.
that must have been quite a journey.
It was. I think it was very defining in so many ways.
Mhm.
Not just the accomplishment, the milestone, but I think, like you said, the journey,
Mhm.
the the venture.
Correct.
The third big one was, to my mind, after this venture, being reached out by Rashmi Bansal for her book Touch the Sky,
Mhm.
where she wrote stories about who she thought were women
Mhm.
changing their destiny.
Wow.
And I was one of the 15 she chose to feature in her book.
Wow. Okay.
And I was fairly tentative and reluctant, and I kept telling her that I don't think I deserve to be featured.
Mhm.
And she said, "You don't know, but your story is very important."
Fantastic. What a fantastic thing. Great, great milestones, and I'm so delighted you remember them so clearly. Let's move to talking about Sambhavna.
Yes.
Tell me about this venture and the kind of work you do.
Okay. The first milestone when I said that, I've been in a career for a variety of reasons and I've worked with some of the best organizations. I was keen to become everything that I could be, everything that I wanted to be, in a certain way, live out my childhood dreams. And I have a restless energy about me, which is that I feel that I'm always running out of time. There's, of course, a backstory for that, and that's for another time. But I had reached a point where being inside an organization was not gratifying enough for me. And I wanted to work with multiple organizations. I definitely enjoy working with people and working on people issues and organizations. So I decided to step out and say that if I have to pursue everything that I want to pursue, it may be better that I work on the outside.
Mhm.
And frankly, when I had left Castrol,
Mhm.
I had decided not to be in an active HR role.
Okay.
I wanted to step back. And a friend of mine, very dear friend of mine, called me and literally said, why are you wasting all your education and all the work that you do? I need you to consult me for my organization. And I said, well, I could do that anyway. I could, do that because I care for you and I'm your friend and I will do it.
Mm.
And while I did that little bit of work, what I realized was that this is something that I enjoy. And if this was something I wanted to do, I would like to do it properly. And properly for me was not being an individual consultant. Properly for me was to have an organization.
Okay.
And that led to some problem.
Mm.
The fact that my name is a part of the name of the organization is pure coincidence.
Hmm.
A lovely coincidence, but pure coincidence. I would like to emphasize the word Sambhavna, which means possibility. And I think it is the essence of what I believe in, which is that as organizations, as individuals, as teams, there are infinite possibilities if we can challenge thought.
Hmm.
So that is what led to Sambhavna. And Sambhavna is an organization that works with individuals, teams, and other organizations
Hmm.
to explore the possibilities of all the things.
Okay. So you say that you consult in organization development.
Yes.
My first question to you on that would be that what makes an organization better? I mean, is it the people? Is it the systems? Is it the policies? Is it the product? Is it the management? Or is it a combination of everything?
It's a great question. What makes organizations better, in my view, fundamentally, is the desire to be better.
Hmm.
And I do think the desire and the willingness to explore oneself and to create new possibilities makes organizations and individuals better. This is a combination of people, it's a combination of processes, it's a combination of where and how you would like to play,
Hmm.
and it's therefore, the products and services that you will put out as well.
And, I've often been asked this question by a lot of people on culture.
Hmm.
How do you define culture of an organization? And how does a young organization build culture?
$1 million question, I have to say, and I will take inspiration from stuff that has been said already.
Okay.
I think the most succinct definition of culture is the way things are done here,
Mhm.
the way things are done in terms of every touch point. So, what do you stand for, and how do you express what you stand for?
Okay.
So, what you stand for is perhaps your values, but how you express it on a daily basis in terms of the way you do things, the way you interact, the kind of interface that you have with all kinds of stakeholders, whether it is customers, whether it is your team members, whether it is partners, whether, what is it that you're most mindful of will define the culture of an organization.
So, what would you say to a startup entrepreneur who says that I want all these things which are part of the which they perceive as part of the culture, but it doesn't apply to me because I'm the owner. What would you say to that?
I think perhaps when organizations start off, the idea and the vision and the dream
Mhm.
is inside one person. So maybe that one person or that founder or that group of founders is the culture.
Mhm.
The way that they visualize, the way that they do things, the way that they express themselves, the way that they think what is important and what is not important will define what the culture of that small group or let's say that individual is.
Mhm.
However, how that is repeatedly transmitted on a daily basis
Mhm.
will define the kind of customers you will attract, will define the kind of team members you will have,
Right.
will therefore define the touch points, both inside and outside the organization,
Mm.
and will therefore be the culture of a startup or an organization.
Mhm.
So, to me, it may not be cultured already. It may be just the values,
Okay.
just the vision to start with inside one person, but how also it gets owned up by many others who come in contact with that organization will define the culture of a startup.
Fair enough. So let's move to the next part of our conversation, which is on Sathi. And I see a very nice poster just behind you on Sathi. When I was reading about you, you said this is an organization that provides support to caregivers. And I can understand how important caregivers are and how ignored the caregivers are. So tell me about this venture and what made you start this?
Sure. So the name of the organization is Caregiver Saath.
Caregivers are they, okay?
Yes. So companions to caregivers.
Okay.
At a very fundamental level, I believe we are all caregivers.
Mm.
And I'd like to tell you a story which has deeply impacted me.
Mhm.
Margaret Mead is a legendary anthropologist who has done a lot of work across cultures and is highly regarded. And she was in a conference when she was asked a question: what do you believe are the first signs of civilization?
Mm.
And this person wrote it in a book and said that I was expecting Margaret Mead to say, the classic things about when you saw some signs of tools or you saw something that kind of gave you a sign that these are the first signs that civilizations came into being.
Mhm.
But Margaret Mead said, to me, the first sign of civilization is a healed femur bone.
Mhm.
What she meant was, and she went to explain that,
Mhm.
which is in the animal kingdom, if the femur bone was broken,
Mhm.
it meant certain death.
Okay.
However, a healed femur bone means that somebody was harmed, but another person cared for this injured person enough that they could heal back. And this is the first sign of civilization
Mhm.
or an expression of humanity.
Okay.
And at some level, we are all caregivers.
Mhm.
In our society and culture,
Mhm.
caregivers are assumed, are taken for granted.
Correct.
It is a part of our familial role and responsibility,
Mhm.
not just to our families, but sometimes to society, etc.
Mhm.
And among all caregivers, caregiving to someone who is battling or navigating an incurable condition
Mhm.
can be extremely traumatizing and stressful.
I agree.
And Caregiver Saathi is an organization that may be required in these times
Mhm.
because socioculturally we are a fragmenting community. We now have nuclear families, sometimes micronuclear families, and we are in a space where earlier caregiving was gendered, but today women are coming into the workforce.
Mhm.
And if they come into the workforce, both men and women need to own up their caregiver roles.
Correct.
And people don't know how to do this. Our healthcare system does not account for long-term illnesses that are incurable.
Mhm.
Our healthcare system is more designed for acute illness. That means you go there, get the treatment, and then come back home.
Mhm.
We now need something that will hold up the home-based care, which is long-term care.
Mhm.
We do not have a system for that. We do not have an institutional systemic approach for that. And Caregiver Sathi is attempting to fill that gap.
That's so well said, because as I was reading about you, took me back 5, 6 years. My mother was very unwell, and we'd go to the army hospital with my father. And the doctor always told me, make sure you look after your father because he's the caregiver. Your mother, she had dementia. And she said, no, she's in a world of her own. But the person who needs attention is your father because he's spending all his time looking after her. And I think what you're saying resonates so well. Fantastic. So let's talk about caregiver a little more. What are the kind of challenges caregivers face?
Simple answer. Our research has suggested there are top 5 challenges for caregivers. The first challenge is, or dilemma, is patient care versus self-care.
Mm-hmm.
Which comes first?
Hmm.
What is more important? Patient care is evident and has to be done. This is the job. But unless there can be good quality self-care, there cannot be good quality patient care.
Mhm.
But there is guilt, and there is time, and there is, all kinds of other things involved in healthy self-care.
Mhm.
So that's the first challenge.
Okay.
I'm not talking about challenges of caregiver sathi. I'm talking about people who are caregivers.
Caregivers, correct.
And I will like to talk about challenges as caregiver sathi as well.
Sure.
The second big challenge or dilemma that caregivers have is, who can I talk to and who will really understand what I'm going through?
Mm.
We have social norms in which caregiving is considered noble, it is considered a part of your duty. We have mythological stories about Shravan Kumar, of Savitri, etc., that operate at a very unconscious level.
Right.
So, to feel feelings of guilt, to feel feelings of shame, disappointment, anger, frustration are human, but it can be very hard for caregivers to be able to express them and feel understood.
Mm.
So the second dilemma is, who can I talk to who will understand?
Mhm.
The third, and I think for a lot of corporates, this is an important one for them to understand, is that can I talk about my caregiving and my caregiver status
Mhm.
at my workplace?
Okay.
Because up until recently, the boundaries of personal and professional worlds were fairly tight.
Mm.
It is only recently that they are blurring because of technology, and now because of the pandemic,
Correct.
we are in each other's homes, for example. But can an ambitious professional person
Mm.
speak about their caregiver role?
Mhm.
Because otherwise, will it be seen as I'm seeking sympathy? Will it be seen as am I asking for leeway? Am I not ambitious enough, etc., etc., can be challenges. So, can I take this role to the workplace? Is the third challenge.
Mhm.
The fourth biggest challenge is, do I have to do everything myself,
Correct.
or can I get somebody else to do it?
Mhm.
So, will I be less of a caregiver, or will I be, will I be doing the right things if I actually ask somebody to help me?
Right.
For example, young mothers face this a lot. Like, there will be a comment like, so and so is a very hands-on mother
Mm.
because she does everything herself,
Mm.
as opposed to, this is a working mother and she spends only about 2 hours with her child.
Mm.
In the case of a caregiver, also it will be the same thing. Oh, she's hired or he's hired a caretaker, so not doing everything themselves. So the choice of what will I do myself and what will I get done from someone else
Mm.
is another dilemma.
Okay.
And the fifth biggest challenge and dilemma for a caregiver is, where can I get the relevant, trustworthy, and accessible information that I need now
Mm.
at this point in time? So, there is the World Wide Web, there are books, there are, Information is now easily available.
Right.
However, that which is processable and that which makes sense only without being overwhelming. So,
I understand. So, I've got to move because I don't have too much time left. But you did want to talk about the problems, the challenges being faced by caregiver Saathi. Would you like to talk about that?
I would,
Mhm.
because I do think that anybody who is watching this
Mhm.
can have a role to play
Okay.
in terms of partnering with Caregiver Saathi, and I do think that that's important.
Mhm.
The biggest challenge that Caregiver Saathi as an organization is facing is not just the awareness and the sensitivity of understanding and appreciating caregivers in all the realms of our life.
Mhm.
Caregivers do not self-identify as caregivers. A lot of us see ourselves as responsible parents,
Mhm.
loving partners, caring children, but we don't see ourselves as caregivers. So, what can we do to help caregivers recognize that I'm a caregiver and I need support is the biggest hump that we have to cross.
Okay. And if someone wants to reach out to you, how do they reach out to you?
We are present, we have a website, we are present on all social media handles, we have a helpline, and we have a Facebook group. So Caregiver Saathi is, if you look it up, hopefully our SEO is working well and you should be able to find us.
Terrific. So I've got time for one more question for you. We did speak about your motorcycle ride to the highest motorable road, based on which you also had a story written. You said that being a motorcycle rider has helped you discover yourself.
Yes.
Tell me how.
So, my mentor and teacher, Raghu Anant Narayan, in one of our experiential labs,
Mhm.
asked two questions. One, what is a dharmic life,
Mhm.
and how can you lead a dharmic life? The way that I interpreted this was that dharmic life is one, and we explored this, is one in which you can take your life experience, which could potentially be personal suffering,
Mhm.
but take it beyond yourself so that anybody who is in that circumstance
Mhm.
can experience life differently.
Okay.
I thought deeply about it, and I feel that my life experience of being a caregiver to a caregiver when my father had terminal illness, and I was the caregiver to my mother who was the primary caregiver,
Mhm.
and me being a caregiver in many ways myself,
Mhm.
led me to think that it was an arduous, lonely, and difficult journey.
Correct.
But a motorcycle ride into arduous, difficult, and lonely terrains
Mhm.
requires support.
Okay.
So if I can put together my life experience of not just being a caregiver or understanding the world of a caregiver from multiple aspects, but also being a motorcycle rider who has the ability to get into difficult terrain,
Mhm.
then maybe I can set up an institution that does not exist in another form,
Okay.
and I can venture into this difficult terrain.
Okay. Wonderful.
So that is
Terrific. What a great learning. So Bhavna, we've run out of time now. So thank you very much. I wish you lots of success both with Sambhavna and with Caregiver Saathi. I'm sure you're doing some amazing work. Good luck to you. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the work that you're doing and the space and the platform that you helped create for me.
Thank you again. Thank you for listening to the brand called You Videocast and Podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook,
Instagram and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.